Oh, well, hello there, and welcome to the world of Zwift, the weekly show that brings you everything that you need to know about the glorious yet hardcore world of Zwift racing. The last check, I was OJ Borg, and I'll be bringing you a whole gift basket of ZRL scented goodies on today's show. Take a look at this. We'll bring you all the highlights and results from this week's Premier Division racing in the ZRL. Nathan Guerra and Dave Toll will be dropping by to dig into all that action. Kristin Moat will be joining me to talk all things NoPinz R3R. Matt Lieto will be checking in with the top triathlete David McNamee ahead of the upcoming Zwift Pro Try race series. We'll be in the coach's corner with Kristin Armstrong, and CCC Live Pro, an all-round awesome human being, Ashley Moolman Pasio, takes us around Everything Bagel in her pro rider recon. I have one word for today's show, and that is stacked. So less the faffing about, we better go on with it, because first up is what went down on the women's team time trial on Monday night, where the big question was, could anybody at all, take down Heino?
It's team time trial.
We've got the women's race. This team has depth and experience as well when you look at Saris the Pro's closet.
I have a feeling we're going to see something from them simply because of the way I see them riding this climb. Evoke here, tied up with Saris the Pro's closet. Team Swedish Swifters here, Canyon Esports now 40 seconds back. NoPinz R3R.
This is a top 3 ride, no doubt about it.
Here's the team though.
Heino putting on a clinic. They're going to be really, really hard to beat. Now we get a look at the monster squad. This is going to be 2020.
Evoke is only 2 seconds back actually from Saris the Pro's closet with only 3 riders. 30-17. This is going to be an interesting race to the line here, Dave. That pull through there was perfectly timed. They didn't waste any time getting Paulus on the front. She came through with momentum immediately to 5.6 watts per kilogram. Bates here continues to lead this team to the line.
Well, Heino, that's way under a minute. The question coming into today was, can Heino be beat? The answer's not today. They'll make it 4 out of 4 for a perfect 80 points. 2020 continues to come on strong. Arrow in third, NoPinz for fourth.
The question was, could anyone take down Heino in a team time trial? And the answer was no. But the other teams in the ZRL are definitely getting close. And one team who've been around from the moment that Zwift racing was born from the dust of Watopia is R3R, first as World Bicycle Relief, then as R3R. And I'm happy to say that I'm joined by the man who shouts the orders in the ears of the riders on race night at R3R. It's Kristin Moat. Hey, Kristin.
Well, hello there, OJ. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What do I call you here? Kristin, Moaty, or excitingly, I'll call you Kitty Hawk?
well, Kitty Hawk is a new nickname that I got last night for the TTT.
It was a great show from both the men and the women's squads on Monday in the second team time trial. How is the inaugural season of the ZRL shaping up for you?
It's been brilliant so far. So I think the thing that's been frustrating for us is in the both TTs, we've had one rider who's had a really early technical, literally within minutes of the start. So both TTTs, we've had only 4 riders complete the race. So they've done really well to get the positions that they're in. The men are finding it really tough. I think the competition in the men's race is unbelievably high. And just watching the race watching is painful. Just looking at some of the numbers that they're putting up through the KOMs and through the climbs. But the ladies are doing exceptionally well, led by Sergeant Bates, as we call her.
I love that, Sergeant Bates. Well, talking of Sergeant Bates, she is such a strong rider. When you're in a team time trial, having someone as strong as that, does that help the team, or are you constantly having to rein her back?
Oh, constantly having to rein her back. Lou is kind of she wants to just absolutely go for it, 100% every time. So the biggest thing about Lou is not encouraging her to pedal, it's encouraging her to rein it in and pull her back.
Talk me through the team R3R, how it started, where it came from, because you're one of the biggest teams on Zwift.
Yeah, we've evolved over many years, and so we started off very much in beta Zwift as the kind of the WBR, and that kind of came off the back of us wanting to support one of the worldwide cycling charities, World Bicycle Relief, who kind of provides cycles to kind of families in Africa to try and get kids to school, to try and get them to water and so on. So it started from that, really. We kind of rebadged as the 3R team, which in the 3R stand for ride, race and raise. So we still raised funds for the WBR charity, but we have now an independent team on Zwift. So we've been around a long time.
NoPinz R3R, you have a men's and women's team. How important is it for you to have that equal representation?
I think it's really important. I think particularly because women's cycling in Zwift is very much an equal sport. There is certainly no division at all between the men and the women, and we can just see how competitive that women's racing is now. And it's also attracting a lot more women into cycling, into the platform, I think. And one of the things that we've seen is our women are actually seem to be more competitive than the men are at the moment. So it's very much one team that just happens to have a men's section and a women's section, to be fair.
Kristin, this has been an absolute joy talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, OJ. Good luck in the racing.
So we saw how the women did it on Monday. Let's now take a look at how the men's teams hit out in the second TTT of Season 1 in the ZRL.
Week number 4 of the Zwift Racing League, and it's team time trial again. We are out on the magnificent 29.1 kilometers. Dutch Racing Team leading split number 2 with a 15:45. KISS Racing Team there at a 16:20. Only a 1 second difference between that KISS Racing Team and AHDR2.
Canyon coming through. Down to 4 riders.
Bolt Racing Team 15:20 is the fastest time.
Bolt comes in as one of the teams to beat, no doubt about it.
This is going to be that PO Auto Squad. 6.87 watts per kilogram.
We're in with Evoke now. This is another team that is going to be getting stronger and stronger. Thomas Thrall looks like he's trying to kill his bicycle. Saris, the pros closet, looking really strong right now. Nathan, there's no way these guys go outside the top 5.
NoPinz 3R though with a 37:06, 19 seconds ahead of Dutch Racing. Evoke as they make their way out of Titans Grove.
PO Auto, you got a new fast time without any doubt here. Evoke having a tremendous ride. Hodges, McGoldrick, Wally, Collard, and Thrall. Saris, the pros closet, they've got 3. It's Canyon Esports. They're down to 3 as well.
Viasen and Mueller just pulling this team every last claw. Vitas ends up with a 36:43, half a second ahead of that PO Auto team.
After 29K, only half a second separating our top 2 teams. What a day.
What an amazing night. Vitus Pro Cycling taking the mantle of TTT Kings on ZRL. I don't know about you, but one of my favourite things about watching racing on Zwift is checking out people, setups in their pain caves, geeking out what they've got, the lighting, the turbos, the rest of it, and wondering if I could pick up any tips for my own sweat room. Well, let's take a look at this one. Here's the first one. This is Chris McGlinchey of Vitus Pro Cycling. Easily, he has the best head setup completely there if you take a look at it. I love it. It's like he's about to take some calls. Tons of bikes everywhere. There's also a lawnmower you can see just at the back. And he is far too close to the screen. His eyes will end up square, although that's very old school. They'll be more like 16:9. Anamorphic eyes he'll get. Then this is Rick Ottomer of the Dutch Racing Team with a mantra, personally, I feel like I'm going to adopt. Will it be easy? Nope. Is it worth it? Absolutely. I mean, you can probably put that to most of your life, including doing the big shop. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it worth it? Yeah. Food. And finally, if you are ever wondering what a top female Zwifter's sugary ride fuel of choice is, then look no further than Antonina Reznikov of Team 2020 with what can only be described as the best selection and collection and arrangement of Pez I've ever seen. And you look at them, the way they're stacked there, she's either collecting them or they're just in easy grab range and she can snap them open and just pop them at any moment. And as I think you would agree, everybody loves a Pez. Other sweet treats are available. Why not let me know what your sugary fuel of choice is? You can get hold of me via all the usual social networks. And I'll be keeping an eye on the rider cams over the next few weeks to see what gems of pain cave setups I can bring for you. Now, I'm joined by 2 men who are 2 of my favourite humans on the planet. You'll know their voices, their excitable, passionate, knowledgeable voices through the races. And now you know their faces as well. Hello, Nathan, and hello, Dave. How are you guys?
Hey, OJ.
Hey, OJ.
Great to have Great to have you with me. Dave, let's get straight into this because loads and loads of actions happened. Talk me through Monday night. Give me a recap of what happened Monday night.
Yeah, well, let's start with the men's perspective. It was a shocker. Vitus Pro Cycling, and that is an in real life pro continental team. They really delivered. Talk about a steep learning curve being achieved. They nailed it. An outstanding ride there. Then on the women's side, Heino being Heino. Once again, you might be looking at the perfect team time trial squad right now. I don't know if they are beatable, to tell you the truth, the way things are going in season 1 of the ZRL. They did not miss a step out there and continued their perfect run so far through the first half of the ZRL season.
Just looking at that win for Vitus, they won it by just under half a second. How tight was it at the end? Could it have gone either way, or did it look like they were just having to hang on?
Without any doubt, what we saw, there was this little riser coming out of the tunnel, a 3% grade, where the teams that had done their homework and knew how to sacrifice a rider, putting someone on the front who would absolutely bury themselves and eke out that extra half second. The margin of error is so small when you're looking at these teams. You start to see that in order to win, it's going to come down to multiple riders absolutely going above and beyond what anyone thought their capability was.
And then if we move to Tuesday, Nathan, let's talk through the community races, the ZCL. What were the big stories there?
Yeah, well, for me, across the board, we have this situation where they've been pooled now in week 3, they all got pooled into divisions that really showed what their ability levels were. So that really started to match riders up. So we have these really, or teams up. So we have these really highly competitive zones as well as divisions now. For me, I'm going to focus in today on the European, Middle East, and Africa West Division 1A, both on the men's and the women's side. We got Restart, Plastic Cockneys, Innovation, and as well as WTRL Skylab. They were within, I think, like 30 seconds of each other at the finish. But the interesting thing is we watched that battle play out through the entirety of the course while watching the league standings, which are all within 6 points of each other. So you watched in live time this TTT play out with back and forth in the times going, in the time gaps changing up as we look at the splits, and then live being able to look at how that's going to change up the standings with 4 teams battling for those top 2 spots. There's reward to be chasing after. That's always really cool. And then on the women's side as well, we've got something heating up with Aeonian race team, Sox Watts, and Cryogen. All 3 of those teams, newer community teams that have been organized in the last 3 to 6 months, who have kind of formed their own battle because they're always showing up around the same time. And it's cool to see that play out. Only 9-point spread between them as well. Similar situation. We saw it kind of go back and forth a lot throughout the entirety of that TTT. So really hot battles. And that's across all of the zones, though. Like all of the zones and all of the divisions. Because of this new pooling, it's bringing out some of the best racing that you could see.
What can we expect from next week's course? Because the word brutal is used too many times when it comes to cycling, but next week's course has a brutality to it, doesn't it?
Well, so this is a team's league. Everything's based on points and the performance of your entire squad. But we've talked a lot about stacking the top 10. It's never been more important than what you're going to see out on the Everything Bagel. To be honest, OJ, I thought the Mag 8 that we raced on this week for our team time trial, that is the prototypical perfect time trial course for me. Everything Bagel might be the prototypical perfect points race course, because what you're going to see are teams really scrambling to get riders up in the points here. And again, team sport, individual efforts, and the individuals are going to have to dig in out there. There's some climbs that are going to separate things, and this should help us really decide who the top teams are going to be.
Oh, love it. Love it, love it. Nathan, Dave, thank you so much. As always, thank you guys. We'll see you in week 6 for the next team time trial.
Thanks, OJ.
Cheers.
Next up, Anna Russell fills us in on what kicked off in the APAC region on Tuesday night.
Thanks for that, OJ, and didn't see you racing this week, so I hope you're feeling good and looking forward to seeing you dominate out there with your team League of Legends in the New York race next week. But back to APAC, amazing racing this week. It was my first time commentating a team time trial and it did not disappoint. We had in the women's race AHDR, Ace of Cakes, again having a dominating great performance from the get-go, almost finished with their total suite of 6 riders. I think they dropped one just at the end, so that just shows a really strong team overall. Zed Sun as well moved up into 2nd place, so they've really pulled up the rankings. And a little bit disappointed with Aero this week. I thought they'd been out there practicing, but it looks like they just had a couple of riders who are strong and pulled off the front, maybe a little too hard for some of those riders at the back. But I've got to say, standout performance actually to one of our C category women's teams. That is Team TBR Smile On. Amazing team time trial. They were just fantastic, and that is definitely a group you're going to have a look at for moving up the categories in the next Zwift Racing League. If we head over to the men's race, a bit of a mix up there. I was really gunning for Relentless, thinking they'd do well, but they had an absolute devastating first minute where Greg Grosicki, their favourite, winner of the last 2 scratch races, had a Zwift technical and couldn't complete the race. So they were down to 4 riders right from the get-go, and that's really hard. I mean, they had to push so hard, each rider, and they did very well coming in 3rd place, I think, but yeah, tough day in the office for them. But ZWC Attack, an extremely good showing in the men's field, took out that A category. And then we had Deepak closing in on those top 2, Relentless, and the ZWC Attack team. But unfortunately, I think made a critical error up the Watopia KOM. They dropped a rider, and that just turned out to be too tough for them with a 5-man team to catch on to ZWC through the desert and into the last flats through the Watopia tunnels into downtown.
Next week, the ZRL is back in points mode to give us her unique insight on the good, the bad, and the ugly of team points racing. Here's Kristin Armstrong with the sort of analysis that money can't buy. Welcome to Coach's Corner.
Hi, it's Kristin Armstrong here, back to bring you some performance insights during the ZRL. Today, I'm going to spend some time talking about the points race. In most bike races, as we know, the first rider across the line wins. However, in a point-style race, the cumulative points earned on climbs, sprints, and on the finish line all count toward the final point tally for that day. As we saw in last week's points race in Richmond, the men kept the peloton together until the bottom of that last climb heading into the finish line. Mike Cooming from Sarah's Pros Closet finished the day with a strong attack at the last kilometer, and although he was overtaken in the final meters by Thomas Thrall with Evoc, Team Sarah's Pros Closet were the winners of the day. So on the flip side, in the women's race, Kristen Kolchinski from Team 2020 made a nice attack off the front early in the race, which later I would say didn't prove to be the best tactic of the day, as a few of her teammates didn't make it back to the larger chase group. Looking ahead to next week's points race, which will be raced on the Everything Bagel, tactics once again will be critical. So this course is one of the toughest. It is relentless. Although the climbs aren't super long and they are super short and very steep and deceiving. Not to mention, there are sprints between the 2 climbs. So you have to be on at all times. In summary, be a unit. Don't lose any of your teammates. All the points matter. Know the course. Everything Bagel is one where knowledge will make a difference. Know your competition. Remember, even if you are the first across that finish line, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are winning the race, nor is your team. I am looking forward to what Everything Bagel brings on Monday. Best of luck.
We've got so used to seeing the ZRL bring us stacked fields of the best Zwift racers in the world. But what if I was to tell you there is another game in town? No! I hear you shout at your screen right now. What could it be? Well, I'll tell you. We have brought 40 of the best triathletes on the planet together again to race each other over completely new and innovative racing formats in the Zwift Pro Try series. And Matt Lieto and Sarah True from the Zwift Triathlon podcast will be hosting. That is right. We do podcasts. Check them out. Zwift Pro is running on Wednesdays throughout November, and we have asked Matt to have a chat with one of the stars racing in the series to find out how excited he is about this new type of racing. Here's what happened when he spoke to Dave McNamee.
What's going on, Dave? Here with Dave McNamee. What's up, man?
I'm good. Just counting down the days until Zwift starts.
Yeah, so we got the second series of the Zwift Pro Try, and a little bit different this time. I know you enjoyed it the previous time we went around, but what are you looking forward to this go around?
Yeah, I think sort of the new format's going to be really interesting. The 3 races and the 1 night. It's going to be very interesting to see how the athletes sort of recover between each event. I have no idea how I'll do. I have no idea what I'll do within like the period of rest that we get. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of surprises, which I think we maybe didn't get enough of the first time around.
What do you think tactically as far as like dosing your energy with that last race of each round being a time trial, a non-drafting mass start time trial? How are you going to dose your energy throughout?
I think The thing with Zwift is that no matter what, the first 2 or 3 minutes of every race is crazy. So I think it's exciting in that I think everyone will, there's not going to be any sort of let's hold back for the third event. It's very much going to be on the limit from the start. And we'll see what happens. For me, it's very much, this is my race season now. I've got 3 weeks of Zwift events, and this is very much what I'm targeting.
Now, do you favor yourself for sprinter? What do you think about that? How's that points race going to turn out for you?
I'm not a sprinter. I also had to inform my little avatar that we've gained 3 kilograms since the summer season. That was not good. He was not happy. I'm excited to try and mix it up and just to see, just go for it from the start and, you know, be tactical in it and just to be aggressive.
Who do you think with that at the end, and considering that the non-time trial or the time trial at the end is worth a lot of points, who do you think really has the advantage? Are the Ironman guys going to maybe really show themselves in that last time trial?
I think if you asked me who I think will win, I'd go for Mike Phillips.
One of my favorite parts before the race is to watch kind of all y'all in the pens. And I know one of your favorite pastimes is to kind of prod people and do a little talking. Who are you most excited to message and kind of back and forth, rib before races?
For me, that's really annoying because nobody actually responds. It's like, don't be so anti-social. My avatar loves to speak. I think it's only ever Joe Skipper actually really gets involved.
He does.
And like, he just loves it. And like, you go through, like, dude, I'm going to attack after 10 kilometers. I'm just going to go for it. And like, I'm joking, but he thinks I'm being serious. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to be dropped by that point.
Yeah, for sure. I think Joe and you will do a good job. I think Tim Reed and Van Berkel can be pretty good too.
I actually think I can beat them both, to be honest. Like, I see Mike Phillips as the big threat for victory. Yeah, so I'm excited. I hope everybody is excited. I feel sorry for Tim's. And I heart Mike Phillips.
There you go. And on that, I'm going to wish you luck and let you get back to training for the series that starts next week.
Thank you.
So, from a pro triathlete to a doyen of the women's pro peloton. Back in March, if you can remember that far back, as the new normal took hold, lockdown in Spain, well, it happened almost overnight and left a lot of cyclists looking to Zwift for a chance to train and to compete as well. And one Spanish-based rider who took to Zwift like a pope to the woods was South African road race champion Ashley Moolman Pasio, winning stages in the Classics, in the TFA and in the virtual Tour de France. So, who better now that the road season is coming to an end and with the UCI 2020 Cycling Esports World Championships on the horizon to take us on a tour of next week's ZRL course than she. Here's Ashley's Pro Rider Recon.
Hi everyone, I'm riding the Everything Bagel loop today. It's definitely an exciting one and one that myself as a climber, I really enjoy racing. This is definitely a course where your heart rate will go up in the beginning and it's just not going to come down. Here we go, the first KOM. We're at 7% gradient and yeah, it's feeling pretty hard. It's really important for the sprinters to be as far in front as possible when you start the climb so that if you do lose contact, you don't lose too much. And up we go again. Slightly steeper kick this time around, 15%. Final push to the line. I always seem to have like a disconnect with the glass and the gradient because it looks like the slippery surface, but it's really hard. Going into the center part, gradual downhill, you never really have all that much recovery. And now it's going to be full gas. The sprinters would have launched, aero helmets will be used. Sprint is done. If you're a little bit off now, I think it's important to keep working to catch up with the front. We're at 15 Ks. I think that this is what you'd be expecting to see in real life right now. Riding through the park, big skyscrapers. You really want to be recovering because the next KOM is going to be a really tough one. We're back on the blocks. New York KOM in both directions always comes in sort of steps, and the KOM starts. So now's the time for the climbers to be putting the hammer down. It's important now to be looking at the numbers. If anyone's pouch weight increases drastically, if it goes red, then you know they're certainly putting in an attack and you need to respond. 16%, this is a time to really take advantage. Try and force the gap. Stamp on the pedals. The legs will be burning, but you've got to try and forget about that. The banner's in sight. Nearly there. Nice aero back now. Ooh. The sprint has started. You can see the banner. And now 6Ks to the finish. I certainly don't think this is going to be a big bunch sprint. In the final kilometer now, you don't see the banner until 200 meters to go, but now it's full gas. Whew, and done. Everything Bagel is going to be a really tough race. It's a really relentless course. It's just up and down, up and down. You're going to feel the effort by the time you get to the finish line.
Oh man, just watching that brute of a course makes me cry inside. And then you see Ashley, looks like she didn't break sweat once. So another week has come and gone in the world of Zwift, and what a week it has been. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you join Matt Stevens and Hannah Walker on Monday for race day 5 in the ZRL and another explosive points race in New York City. Dave and Nathan, they'll be back on Tuesday with all the best action from the community divisions over on the ZCL. And Matt Lieto and Sarah True will be right here on Zwift Live with what looks like it's going to be a really fun, high-tempo set of races with round 1 of the Z Pro Try. I'll be back with you next Friday with more from the world of Zwift. For now, don't just ride, race, and ride on.